This was another Ukrainian drone attack on a Russian fuel train en route to occupied Crimea.
Today at 3:47, a Russian train driver checking his schedule had no idea Ukrainian observers had been watching his fuel train for the last 73 minutes. In less than 2 minutes, 840 tons of diesel would turn into Ukraine's latest fireworks show, caused by about $8,000 worth of modified hobby drones.
35 kilometers away, operators from a special Ukrainian unit called Elite Cobble, 9, watch thermal video feeds over encrypted Starlink links. Their modified reconnaissance drones locked onto the target with surgical accuracy. The thermal image was clear. The locomotive's diesel engine showed up very hot at 47 degrees Celsius, and the 12 fuel cars had temperature differences that marked them as a high-value target. This was no last-minute attack. Ukrainian Defense Intelligence had tracked this train for 4 days using partisan spotters with encrypted phones. They knew the train's departure from the Rostovan depot, its usual speed in this area, and, most importantly, the roughly 20-minute window when it would be farthest from Russian air defenses. The numbers are brutal for Moscow. Each fuel car holds 70 tons of diesel. 12 cars times 70 tons equals 840 tons of fuel, enough to run 3 armored battalions for about 10 days. 10 days of fuel can decide whether troops advance or do nothing. And these aren't ordinary consumer drones. Engineers reworked them with firmware that boosts digital zoom and flight time, and added radio hardware using frequency hopping, changing frequencies thousands of times per second across several bands, making them very hard to jam. Each attack quadcopter carried a 2.6 kilogram shaped charge modeled like a PG-7VL round. That cone-shaped warhead, 85 millimeters across and lined with copper, focuses explosive energy into a jet moving extremely fast, enough to punch through 15 millimeters of steel. The warhead was originally built to pierce thick armor. Against a fuel car, it's overkill. The train rolled on at 45 kilometers per hour, unaware that in less than a minute it would show why occupying Ukraine was a terrible investment. As the first strike drone closed in, a Russian Leer-3 electronic warfare system powered up. Its crew detected electromagnetic signals and began broadcasting jamming across a 30-kilometer radius, noisy enough to disrupt every cell phone in nearby villages. The Leer-3 started with wideband jamming, blasting noise across many frequencies to overwhelm receivers. When that didn't stop the drones, operators switched to spot jamming, focusing on the bands common for commercial drones. Picture someone trying to drown out your music with a vacuum, then unpairing your Bluetooth speaker. That's what they attempted. But Ukrainian teams expected this. Their frequency hopping system kept changing channels thousands of times per second across multiple bands, making it very hard for the Leer-3 to lock on. When Russia moved to GPS spoofing, sending fake satellite signals to confuse the drones still stayed on course. They used inertial sensors that measure motion directly. You can fake GPS, but you can't fake acceleration and movement. Newton's laws don't lie. To avoid radio jamming altogether, the lead attack drone unspooled a thin fiber-optic line, like a fishing line but carrying light. This fiber kept a perfect digital link to the operator 35 kilometers away. At microns thick, it carried enough bandwidth for high-quality video plus control and telemetry, and produced no radio signature. To Russian sensors, the drone looked autonomous, not remotely controlled. The cable added weight and required bigger motors and frames. It also left a physical trace after each flight, a reflective strand, meaning the operators planned to move after the mission. Still, guaranteed connection was worth that risk. Despite heavy jamming, the drones held control. The Leer-3 watched as its expensive kit did little while the drones closed at high speed. In effect, physics and a fiber-optic tether beat an expensive electronic warfare system. First drone struck fuel car number 4 with pinpoint accuracy. The 2.6 kilogram charge didn't just make a hole, it vaporized steel at extremely high temperatures and turned 70 tons of diesel into a massive fireball visible for miles. When the shaped charge penetrated the car, it liquefied part of the steel and instantly vaporized the fuel, creating a pressure wave that destroyed the car's structure. Temperatures soared above 4,000 degrees Celsius. Soviet-era design had connected ventilation between cars. What was meant for loading now acted like a channel, spreading fire. Within 20 seconds, cars 3 and 5 ignited too, turning multiple cars into one huge blaze. The Russian crew finally saw a second drone heading for Car 8 and opened fire with AK-74 rifles. Small arms against a fast maneuvering drone are useless, like shooting a hummingbird with a shotgun. The fire forced evasive moves, but the operator kept control. The first drone's warhead partially detonated, leaving Car 4 damaged but not fully destroyed. The operator made a daring choice: guide the burning drone wreckage into spilled fuel, using the drone itself as an incendiary to finish the job. The fire created its own weather, strong updrafts and downdrafts over 60 kilometers per hour. That made things chaotic. The third drone fighting toward Car 11 battled hurricane-like winds made by the blaze. The second drone's fiber got snagged on a signal post, limiting its maneuvering to a small radius. The pilot could abort or try the shot while tethered. He chose to go for it. The train driver slammed the brakes, but 840 tons of rolling mass doesn't stop quickly. The burning car made the train an easier target. The second drone fought cable tension, wind shear, and gunfire to hit Car 8. The third drone navigated through smoke that scattered laser designators and distorted IR sensors, flying by thermal signatures alone. The fourth drone faced battery loss, only a sliver left with little time to target. Fighting wind resistance drained power faster than expected. Still, timing had to be perfect. The second and third drones struck nearly simultaneously, Car 8 and Car 11, and their blasts combined into an amplified pressure wave. Fires over 1,200 degrees Celsius began to damage the railway itself. Rails warped under the heat, bending far beyond their design limits. What had been precision infrastructure now looked like twisted metal sculptures. Finally, the fourth drone, nearly out of power, hit the locomotive. Even if fuel cars survived, the train would never run again. The economics are stark. About $8,000 spent on modified commercial drones destroyed roughly $2.4 million worth of rolling stock, plus 840 tons of fuel valued at about $600,000, and caused weeks of supply disruption for 3 armored battalions. That's an enormous return on a small investment.